The screen opens in darkness. A low, distant rumble echoes like something alive beneath the soil. Slowly, dim red light bleeds into the frame, flickering like a dying torch. The narrator speaks softly, almost whispering, as if afraid something might hear. Imagine waking up each morning with the taste of metal in your mouth, because the air itself has turned poisonous. Imagine hearing screams in the distance every night, and praying they never come closer. Imagine knowing that your children could be taken at any moment by the cultists who now call themselves your masters, and knowing that there is nothing you can do to stop it. Shapes move through the smoke, silhouettes of chained civilians, shadowy cultists marching with jagged weapons, something monstrous crawling across a broken wall. The camera pans over a once busy street now stained with dried blood, the bodies long taken but their absence somehow worse. This, the narrator continues, voice rising over a chorus of whispers, is life under chaos occupation. A world where hope is an extinct word, and mercy is a myth told by dying tongues. The scene ends with a sudden, sharp sound, like a scream swallowed by the wind, and everything cuts to black. As the intro begins, the tone shifts, but only slightly, the horror remains. A distant choir hums, distorted by static, as stars appear across the void. The narrator speaks again, calmer now, but carrying the weight of centuries of suffering. In the vast and brutal universe of Warhammer 40,000, countless planets rise and fall in endless war. Armies clash, heroes die, empires crumble, but lost within the chaos of battle are the billions of ordinary humans who never chose this fate. When a world is taken by chaos, its people do not simply lose their freedom, they lose their minds, their bodies, their very souls. Images of peaceful cities flash briefly, replaced suddenly by scenes of riots, burning shrines, strange symbols painted on walls, and terrified citizens fleeing as the sky cracks open with warp lightning. The narrator continues, chaos occupation is not just a military takeover, it is corruption made real. It starts with whispers in the night, with strange dreams, with neighbors acting just a little too strange. Then come the cults, the riots, the disappearances, until finally, the veil between reality and the warp tears apart, and demons walk under a blackened sun. A lone civilian appears on screen, tired, starving, covered in soot, staring into the camera with hollow eyes. The narrator's voice softens. This video is not about space marines, or mighty heroes, or legendary battles. This is about the forgotten ones, the farmers, the workers, the families, those who once lived quiet, simple lives, until chaos arrived and turned their every breath into a curse. The camera slowly zooms out as the civilian disappears into a crowd of frightened survivors marching through a ruined street. Today, the narrator says, we explore their story. The horrifying reality of what it means to live, suffer, and try to survive under the shadow of chaos. The music rises, trembling like a warning, as the screen fades into the first chapter. The beginning is never loud. It never starts with demons bursting through the ground or cultists marching openly in the streets. The fall of a planet under chaos is quiet at first, almost invisible, like a sickness that takes root deep inside the bones before anyone feels the fever. It starts with whispers. A worker in the lower hive claims she saw a strange figure standing in the shadows, watching her without eyes. A preacher complains that his congregation has stopped attending sermons, instead choosing to meet secretly in abandoned factories at night. A clerk in the administratum reports that entire records have gone missing, replaced with strange symbols carved directly into the data slates. Individually, these are small things, easy to ignore. But together, they mark the beginning of the end. The first real sign of collapse usually comes from the people, not the armies. Fear spreads faster than any infection. A man begins screaming in the marketplace, claiming that the sky spoke to him. A group of miners refuse to enter a tunnel after hearing scratching beneath the rock. A teacher tells her students that the dreams she has been seeing feel more real than waking life. And while the imperial authorities try to maintain order, their words begin to lose meaning. When people stop believing that the Imperium can protect them, chaos already has one foot inside the door. Then come the disappearances. At first, it's just criminals or drifters, people no one asks about. But soon it's workers, priests, soldiers. Some vanish while walking home at night. Others are dragged out of their homes, leaving only a smear of blood on the wall. The local Arbites investigate, but their numbers are few, and their reports are always the same: no suspects identified. Possible cult activity. Even they begin to fear. In the noble districts, life continues normally for a while, though unease grows behind luxurious walls. The elite host banquets where guests whisper about riots in the lower hive. They laugh it off, but their eyes tell a different story. Behind those walls, some nobles already know the truth, some have been funding the cults themselves, hoping to gain power when that new order arrives. Corruption spreads from the gutters to the throne rooms. Meanwhile, in the slums and industrial sectors, the rot becomes impossible to hide. Strange graffiti appears overnight, spirals, eyes, horns, symbols no one recognizes but everyone fears. Fires break out. Shadows seem to move even when there is no light. People begin locking themselves in their homes long before sunset, terrified of what roams after dark. But the real terror begins when the air itself starts changing. The sky flickers like a dying scream, colors twisting unnaturally. Birds fall dead from the air. Machines malfunction without reason. Children wake up screaming about figures standing at the foot of their beds, figures that vanish when the lights come on. It becomes clear that something, not human, not natural, is pressing against reality from the other side. Panic takes over when the first mutation appears. A factory worker collapses and convulses on the ground, his bones snapping, skin bubbling. His co-workers watch in horror as he rises again, no longer fully human. The screams spread faster than the mutation. Soldiers are sent in to contain the situation, but by then it's too late. The worker is only the first of many. Cults begin to rise openly now. Hooded figures march through the streets, chanting in languages no human should understand. They drag prisoners behind them, some still screaming, others already silent. They speak of liberation, of ascension, of chaos as the true master of mankind. Many civilians flee, but others, desperate and afraid, start listening. It is human nature to grab onto anything when drowning, even a demon's hand. The final moment, the true fall, comes with a sound that no one forgets. A tear in the sky, massive, glowing, bleeding light and darkness at the same time. The warp opens like a wound, and demons spill through. Streets erupt in fire as the ground cracks. The air becomes thick with the smell of blood and ozone. Imperial forces attempt to fight back, but they are overwhelmed. Communication systems fail. Reinforcements never arrive. The world collapses into screaming chaos. For the civilians, survival becomes the only goal. Families run without knowing where they're going. Parents carry children through burning streets. People hide in rubble, praying the demons don't smell fear. The Imperium has fallen, order has collapsed, and chaos walks freely in the open. A planet that once held billions now becomes a battlefield of madness. And as the fires rise, as the screams echo through the ruins, the truth becomes clear: the fall of a planet is not the work of a day, it is the slow, inevitable triumph of fear, corruption, and despair. By the time the first demon steps into the world, the planet has already died. When the smoke of the planet's fall finally settles, when the roar of battle fades and the Imperium's banners lie trampled in the dust, a new kind of silence spreads across the world. It is not peaceful. It is the silence of fear, dense, heavy, suffocating. Civilians who once lived with routine, with rules, with predictable days, now exist in a world without structure, without justice, without hope. Chaos rule begins not with laws, but with the complete absence of them. What replaces order is not governance, but domination. The streets that were once patrolled by Imperial Arbites are now claimed by armed cultists wearing scraps of armor decorated with skulls, chains, and the marks of their dark gods. They roam freely, taking whatever they want, food, valuables, even people. There is no authority to stop them. If a cultist points at someone and declares, "The gods demand their flesh," that person simply disappears, dragged into the shadows where screams echo for hours. No one dares intervene. To challenge a follower of chaos is to invite death or something far worse. Survival quickly becomes a matter of staying invisible. Families board up their homes, whispering to one another inside dark rooms, afraid that even a loud breath might attract attention. Windows are shattered, doors broken, and homes burned as cultists search for offerings. Some civilians flee into the ruins, living among rubble, feeding on scraps and contaminated water. Others attempt to comply, offering tribute to whichever chaos faction has claimed their district. But there is no guarantee of mercy. Chaos does not reward obedience, it rewards opportunity. The greatest weapon chaos uses against civilians is not a sword or a demon, but the mind itself. Under their rule, thoughts become unsafe. People begin to hear whispers, soft, seductive, poisonous. Words that tell them their suffering has meaning, that the emperor has abandoned them, that chaos is the only truth. These whispers grow louder at night, especially in areas where the warp bleed is strongest. Dreams turn into hallucinations. People wake up screaming, convinced something was standing over them. Some begin talking to unseen figures. Others lose the ability to tell what is real. Paranoia spreads like fire. Neighbors accuse neighbors of mutation. Families hide their sick, terrified that the cultists will take them. Children who cough too loudly are smothered into silence by desperate parents. No one trusts anyone. Even the smallest sign, a glowing eye, a twisted vein, a distorted voice, can mean a family member has already been touched by the warp. Some mutations are slow, others happen instantly, violently, tearing the victim apart from the inside. The sight of a loved one transforming into a monster breaks many people's spirits completely. Daily life, once filled with small routines, becomes a constant struggle. Food stores are seized by cultists, so most civilians scavenge through abandoned buildings or risk foraging in warp-tainted zones. Water becomes scarce and often poisonous. Fires burn unchecked, whole districts collapse from neglect. People eat rats, insects, mold, anything to survive another day. Disease spreads rapidly, plague spores drifting through the air, warp sickness causing skin to peel, stomachs to rot, and minds to fracture. Children suffer the most. Chaos sees them not as innocents, but as raw material. Cults dedicated to various gods take children for different purposes. Khorne cultists force them into brutal training pits. Nurgle cultists infect them with diseases to bless them. Tzeentch sorcerers use them in rituals that warp their bodies and minds. Slaanesh cults do things so horrific that survivors refuse to speak of them. Any child seen in the streets is immediately hunted. Parents hide their sons and daughters underground, in sewage tunnels, inside hollowed walls, but not all hiding places stay hidden forever. As chaos rule solidifies, the world itself begins to change. Buildings twist unnaturally. Stone melts like wax. Machinery grows organic veins or begins whispering in machine speech. The sky darkens with warp clouds that shift in impossible patterns. Time stretches, bends, loops, civilians cannot trust their clocks anymore. Days feel like weeks, nights feel endless. In some regions, gravity fluctuates randomly. In others, screams echo eternally even when no one is present. And yet, despite everything, humans continue trying to survive. They form small hidden communities, people sharing scraps of food, patching wounds, praying together even when the emperor seems deaf. These groups avoid open roads, camp in ruins, and travel by crawling through underground pipes. But every day becomes a test. If a single person coughs, cries, or steps too loudly, the cultists hear. If someone goes missing, the group knows they are never coming back, but the worst part of living under chaos is the slow erosion of hope. The Imperium is nowhere to be seen. No astropathic messages go out. No ships arrive. Many civilians believe that the God Emperor has abandoned them as punishment. Others believe that the Imperium will eventually return, but when months turn into years, even the strongest faith begins to crack. People start to accept their new reality. They start to believe the whispers. Some willingly kneel before the Chaos Champions, begging for transformation, thinking it will free them from suffering. Most die horribly, some survive only to become something inhuman. A planet under Chaos rule is not merely enslaved, it is psychologically shattered. Every day is a gamble, every breath a risk, every moment a step on the edge of madness. Civilians who once lived ordinary lives now exist in a world where nightmares are real, where gods of death and corruption rule openly, and where survival is not a right, but a cruel lottery. This is life under Chaos, a world where fear is constant, sanity is fragile, and humanity is a fading memory. Once a planet falls fully under Chaos, it is no longer governed by humans, by the Imperium, or even by natural law. Instead, it becomes a canvas for the whims of four ancient, malevolent entities, the Chaos Gods. Each god casts a different shadow, each god demands different forms of suffering, and each god reshapes the lives of civilians in uniquely horrifying ways. To understand life under Chaos, one must understand the presence of these gods in the daily reality of the ordinary human. Khorne, the god of blood and war, dominates through sheer violence. His followers do not need subtlety, they demand death, and they revel in it. Streets that were once markets become arenas of bloodsport. Civilians are dragged into pits where they are forced to fight, often against one another, while cultists watch and cheer. Khorne does not care about strategy or mercy, he cares only for bloodshed. For ordinary humans, this translates into a constant terror. Every argument, every misunderstanding, can become lethal. Neighbors are no longer friends, they are potential killers or victims. Children are not spared, boys are often trained as miniature warriors, while girls are used to bait or provocation in ritualistic games of slaughter. The city itself becomes a monument to carnage, its walls stained crimson, the screams of the innocent echoing endlessly. Nurgle, the Plague Father, spreads horror differently. His touch is slow, insidious, and persistent. While Khorne rules with fire and steel, Nurgle rules with decay. Civilians live amid filth and disease, their bodies slowly turning into carriers of pestilence. Nurgle cultists wander through streets, marking homes and families, blessed with contagion. Some neighborhoods are quarantined not to protect, but to punish. Flesh rots, skin boils, and eyes swell, yet victims are forced to smile and praise their god, for disease is considered a gift, a sign of favor. Children often die first, their tiny bodies succumbing quickly, and yet they are used in rituals designed to prolong the suffering of others. Those who survive Nurgle's touch may become walking horrors, grotesque parodies of humanity, spreading sickness wherever they wander. In these plague-ridden zones, death becomes routine, yet despair remains constant. Tzeentch, the changer of ways, operates not through physical terror alone, but through manipulation and deception. Reality itself bends under his influence. Civilians who live in Tzeentch-controlled regions experience phenomena that defy reason, time loops that trap entire neighborhoods in repeating days, shadows that move against the laws of physics, and voices whispering impossible promises of power or salvation. Children may wake one morning speaking languages they have never learned, or their parents may find themselves unable to recognize familiar faces. Tzeentch cultists seize ordinary humans as pawns for sorcerous experiments, mutating them into grotesque servants or using them in rituals that can reshape entire regions. Trust becomes meaningless. A friend today may be an enemy tomorrow, or may have been a servant of Tzeentch all along. Civilians navigate a world where uncertainty is as deadly as any blade, and where their own perceptions may betray them at the worst possible moment. Slaanesh, the Prince of Excess, corrupts through desire, temptation, and suffering turned into art. Where Khorne takes life and Nurgle spreads decay, Slaanesh twists the senses and manipulates emotion. Civilians under Slaanesh are often lured into nightmarish pleasure houses, where pain and ecstasy intertwine, where every action becomes a form of torment. Children are not immune, they are used to create works of horror or subjected to experiences that destroy innocence and leave permanent scars on the mind. Adults are coerced into unspeakable acts, often against their will, as part of rituals designed to honor the god. Slaanesh's presence is seductive. People sometimes believe they can survive or even gain pleasure from submission, only to discover that such indulgence is a trap. The city itself transforms into a grotesque theater, where every building, every street, every sound is crafted to provoke obsession, corruption, and despair. For civilians, these gods are not abstract forces, they are constant, living realities. One cannot simply avoid Khorne's violence, Nurgle's disease, Tzeentch's trickery, or Slaanesh's corruption. The four forces intermingle unpredictably. A family may wake to find their neighborhood turned into a Khorne arena, a Nurgle quarantine zone, or a Tzeentch labyrinth, while cultists of Slaanesh wander in the streets manipulating the emotions of the terrified population. No law can regulate this chaos. No weapon can fully defend against it. No prayer is guaranteed to protect even the faithful. Life under these gods transforms ordinary humans into survivors by necessity, rather than choice. The elderly and the weak are often first to die, leaving only the cunning, the adaptable, or the morally compromised to persist. Communities shrink, hiding in cellars, tunnels, and ruins. Children are hidden or lost. Every day is a battle to preserve identity, humanity, and sanity in a world where the very concept of normal life has been obliterated. Life under these gods transforms ordinary humans into survivors by necessity, rather than choice. The elderly and the weak are often first to die, leaving only the cunning, the adaptable, or the morally compromised to persist. Communities shrink, hiding in cellars, tunnels, and ruins. Children are hidden or lost. Every day is a battle to preserve identity, humanity, and sanity in a world where the very concept of normal life has been obliterated. Ultimately, the presence of the Chaos Gods ensures that ordinary civilians are never free, never safe, and never at peace. Their lives become a theater of horror, with each day a new act in a never-ending tragedy. Every heartbeat, every breath, every glance carries risk. Under the rule of the four gods, survival is not simply a matter of hiding from bullets or demons, it is a matter of enduring the corruption of body, mind, and soul. For billions of innocents across the galaxy, life under chaos is not just terrifying, it is a nightmare without end. Even in the darkest corners of a world ruled by chaos, humans refuse to submit completely. Small groups form in hidden alleys, abandoned factories, and underground tunnels. They are ordinary people, farmers, laborers, clerks, sometimes even former soldiers, who cling to the idea that survival is not enough. The first challenge for any resistance group is organization. Every member must understand the constant risk, a single mistake can doom the entire cell. Communication is done in coded messages, often written on scraps of paper or hidden in mundane objects, because even a casual conversation can be overheard by a demon or a warp-tainted civilian. Members patrol the ruins cautiously, scavenging supplies while avoiding areas where warp energy is thick, because in those zones reality itself becomes unpredictable. Even a brief encounter with a Tzeentch cultist could mean that someone disappears and returns as a twisted servant, loyal not to their friends, but to the god of change. Recruitment is a gamble. Every new member could be a loyal fighter, a desperate civilian seeking shelter, or a spy planted by chaos to destroy the resistance from within. Cells often rely on family connections, childhood friends, or trusted neighbors, but even these bonds are fragile. Fear erodes trust faster than any cultist blade. A single misstep, trusting the wrong person, revealing a hidden passage, or leaving a trail of footprints, can trigger discovery. And discovery is brutal. Cultists rarely kill quietly. They capture, torture, and make examples, leaving corpses arranged in grotesque patterns for the next would-be rebels to find. Those who survive are forever scarred, both physically and mentally. Supplies are another constant struggle. Resistance groups scavenge what remains of the city, canned food from abandoned markets, contaminated water from broken pipelines, weapons from old guard outposts. Medicine is scarce. A simple infection could wipe out a cell faster than a demon horde. Every sortie outside the hiding place is a high-risk operation. Streets are patrolled by cultists, often augmented with mutations or demon companions. Even a brief engagement can alert the entire district. The resistance learns to move silently, to strike only when success is almost certain, but mistakes happen. And when they do, the consequences are swift and merciless. Children, unfortunately, become both a blessing and a liability. Families hiding in resistance cells must decide whether to risk the young in scavenging runs or keep them confined to hideouts. Some children are used as scouts, because they are small and fast, able to slip through debris and evade patrols. But the risks are enormous. If a child is captured, the cultists often use them for rituals, mutations, or worse. The emotional toll is immense. Adults live with a constant fear that one misstep could cost the lives of those they are sworn to protect. Despite the dangers, resistance groups do achieve victories, small as they may be. They sabotage supply lines, ambush small patrols, and occasionally rescue captured civilians. These moments of success are fleeting, however. Every triumph invites retaliation. A sabotaged Nurgle supply caravan may result in plague outbreaks in nearby districts. An ambushed Khorne warband might retaliate with public executions. Even victories come with suffering, teaching the rebels that under chaos, there is no clean win, only survival and further loss. As time passes, the psychological burden becomes unbearable. Members witness the slow corruption of allies, the loss of children, and the mutating effects of warp-tainted zones. Even the strongest minds fracture. Some surrender, joining the cultists voluntarily to save what remains of themselves or their families. Others persevere, driven by stubborn hope or the belief that the Imperium will come to reclaim them. But hope is dangerous, it makes one bold, and boldness attracts attention. Many cells vanish without a trace, their members consumed by the very forces they sought to resist. And yet, the resistance is essential. Even in the face of inevitable defeat, these human pockets provide a glimpse of what it once meant to be human. They keep memories of old laws, old communities, and old lives alive, passing stories and warnings from one generation to the next. They teach the next wave of civilians that chaos may rule today, but oppression is never total while someone still dares to fight. For the few who survive, the scars of resistance mark them forever, not just the physical wounds, but the mental ones, the knowledge that survival requires constant vigilance, cunning, and sacrifice. Ultimately, resistance under chaos is a story of courage against impossible odds, a testament to human tenacity in the face of corruption, mutation, and horror. It is a fragile flicker of light in a world consumed by darkness. And even as the gods of chaos laugh from their thrones in the warp, watching their subjects fight and suffer, the whispers of rebellion remind the universe that humanity, no matter how broken, will never fully surrender. For the billions of civilians trapped under chaos, hope comes as a double-edged sword. Long after the world has been consumed by cultists, demons, and mutations, whispers circulate that the Imperium may return. Stories pass through secret channels, a ship seen in orbit, a gunship landing on a distant plateau, an astropathic message faintly received across the warp. For many, the thought of liberation rekindles a fragile light in the darkness. Families huddle together, children clutching tattered dolls, and adults whisper prayers to the God Emperor, hoping he has not abandoned them entirely. But when the Imperium arrives, salvation is rarely simple or gentle. Chaos leaves scars, both visible and invisible, and sometimes the price of liberation is extinction. Imperial forces often approach a chaos-occupied world with overwhelming firepower, knowing that the planet's inhabitants have been twisted, tainted, or outright lost to the warp. Exterminatus, an apocalyptic orbital bombardment, is always a threat, a grim reminder that the Imperium values the galaxy itself more than the lives of the innocent. Before landing troops, planetary governors and strategists weigh the cost, how many lives might be saved, and how many might already be beyond redemption. Decisions are made coldly, with no room for sentiment. The few who survive chaos may find themselves judged as guilty simply for having endured, their contamination perceived as a threat to the rest of the Imperium. For those civilians who remain, liberation is terrifying. The first contact is not often gentle. Imperial troops sweep through cities with bolters and flammers, clearing streets and tunnels with ruthless precision. Any civilian showing signs of mutation or warp taint is immediately quarantined. Families are sometimes separated as officers make snap judgments about who is contaminated. Children are examined for subtle changes, warped eyes, abnormal growths, unusual behavior. Adults are questioned endlessly, and those suspected of collaboration with chaos are detained. In many cases, liberation feels like a second wave of terror, less obvious than cultist raids, but no less lethal. Survivors often face a cruel paradox. Some have been forced into acts they would never have imagined, collaborating with cultists, betraying neighbors, or even sacrificing others under duress. When the Imperium arrives, such actions are considered sins, and punishment can be swift. Some are executed. Others are conscripted into labor battalions or sent to penitentiaries on other worlds. For the ordinary human who merely wanted to survive, the return of Imperial order can feel like judgment rather than salvation. Chaos may be gone, but freedom comes with chains of guilt, fear, and suspicion. Even those who escape judgment rarely find peace. Their cities lie in ruins, their families fragmented, and their memories haunted by the atrocities they witnessed. Daemonic incursions leave lingering warp scars, areas where the laws of physics no longer fully apply, where reality warps unexpectedly, and where residual psychic energy causes nightmares to manifest in daylight. Every step outside the ruins carries risk, for the remnants of chaos cults often linger, hiding in tunnels or forests, waiting for the opportunity to strike. Survival under the Imperium is safer, yes, but it is never easy. Life must be rebuilt from ashes, often with scarce resources and fractured communities. Children, once the most vulnerable, become symbols of both hope and tragedy. Some survive untouched, but many bear the marks of mutation or trauma. Some have seen parents, siblings, or entire communities slaughtered. Others have been warped into tools of chaos and must undergo long rehabilitation, if the Imperium even attempts it. The mental toll on survivors is immeasurable. PTSD, nightmares, paranoia, and mistrust of even fellow humans become part of daily existence. Ordinary civilians are left to carry memories that no human should bear, evidence that even in liberation, innocence is almost always lost. Liberation, however, is not entirely bleak. Some communities slowly reclaim their cities, turning shattered streets into markets, rebuilding homes from ruins, and planting gardens in the shadow of destroyed temples. Survivors form bonds forged through shared suffering. Children learn again to laugh, and families rediscover rituals of life and faith. These fragile flickers of hope stand in stark contrast to the horrors of chaos occupation, proof that humanity endures even after witnessing unimaginable corruption. Yet the shadow of chaos never truly disappears. Warp-tainted zones remain, cultists hide in forests or tunnels, and demonic remnants occasionally rise to reclaim lost ground. Every liberated planet is a temporary reprieve, a battlefield waiting to erupt again. The cycle is endless: oppression, corruption, survival, and sometimes liberation, but always with scars, always with loss. For civilians who lived through the occupation, life is forever altered. Even after the cultists and demons are driven back, even after imperial banners once again fly in the sky, the memories of horror linger, and the question remains: at what cost was survival purchased? Ultimately, the fate of a chaos-occupied planet illustrates the grim truth of the 41st millennium. In a universe ruled by war, gods, and corruption, ordinary humans are caught in cycles they cannot control. Their suffering is constant, their choices constrained, and their survival uncertain. Liberation may arrive, but it is never painless. Extermination may loom, but sometimes it is mercy in disguise. And through it all, one fact remains undeniable: life under chaos, whether before or after liberation, leaves scars that endure for generations, a stark testament to the fragility of humanity in a galaxy consumed by darkness. As the dust settles on a world once consumed by chaos, the camera pans slowly over the ruins, smoldering streets, collapsed buildings, and twisted remnants of human civilization. The screams have faded, but their echo lingers, woven into the very stones and rubble. Survivors emerge cautiously, their faces pale, eyes haunted by horrors too deep to describe. The narrator's voice, calm but heavy with sorrow, begins, "This is the truth of life under chaos occupation. For every battle fought by heroes or space marines, there are countless lives left broken, ordinary humans caught in the web of war, corruption, and despair. They are the ones who endure the nightmares, who witness their families torn apart, who navigate a world where hope itself has become a dangerous luxury." The camera shifts to scenes of quiet resilience, small communities tending meager gardens among the ruins, children peeking through barricades, elders whispering prayers. Yet even here, the shadow of chaos remains, subtle and insidious. The narrator continues, "Even when the Imperium returns, when the banners of the Emperor rise once more, the cost of survival is etched into every scar, every memory, every trembling hand. Liberation is never clean. Mercy is never simple. And for those who survived, the question is not if they will live, but how they will carry the weight of what they have seen." A slow pan upwards shows the blackened sky, streaked with warp-tainted clouds, a reminder that chaos never truly leaves. The narrator's voice softens, almost like a whisper carried on the wind, "In the grim darkness of the far future, there is no peace. There is only struggle, endurance, and the fragile light of humanity against an endless tide of corruption. For those trapped under chaos, hope is a fleeting shadow, survival is a battle of will, and life itself is a testament to courage born from suffering." The music rises, a solemn, haunting chord, as the camera lingers on a lone survivor, standing amidst rubble, staring at the horizon. A final line, slow and deliberate, leaves the viewer with the weight of the story. In a universe of endless war, the ordinary human is the true survivor, bearing witness to horrors that no soldier or hero can ever understand. And in that endurance, perhaps, if only for a moment, humanity still shines. The screen fades to black. Silence. Only the distant echo of a scream lingers, leaving a lingering sense of dread and reflection.